Yep. Well, it's image, isn't it? It's all about the image. It's all about um, how it looks rather than how it is.
Yes.
And they're obviously scared that their employees are not going to have a professional looking
Mm.
environment for their meetings. And we talked about this before. I always think that there's something important about being real.
Mm.
And at the same time, there's something important about being professional as well.
Mm.
But home is home. And we all need to understand that at home, things are going to be, be a little bit unpredictable
Mm.
sometimes. There might be people walking in and out. You might have children in the background. Somebody might come to the door. Um, a lot of interruptions might occur in that kind of situation, and that's home. That's the way that
Mm.
it is, and um, it's there's a contradiction in telling people to stay at home and yet use a professional work background so that nobody knows where you are, and um, or maybe so that everybody is. I imagine part of it is equality, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Where well everybody has to be equal, and not everybody can afford to have Picasso paintings on their walls, so we have to make sure that everybody has the 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 same setting and the same chance, and uh, which is all fine when you're talking about products and packaging. That's vital. That's key. That's
Mm.
essential. The product has to be as much the same tomorrow as it was yesterday in terms
Yes.
of the quality, for sure. But with people, things are always a little bit different, and that's part of the that's part of the vitality of life. It's the
Mm.
unusual. It's the interesting thing. You know, the most interesting person at school was always the person who was different. The most interesting person at university was always the person wearing extravagant clothes or
Mm.
or, or
Yeah.
something like that. And um, uh, I don't know if it helps people keep focused. Maybe there's some Harvard university study somewhere that
Mm.
says that if you use a blue background with a shade of green, there's a higher probability that you will have a successful meeting or something. I don't know. I'm not sure that it works like that. It also removes an element of fun as well.
Yes.
'Cause you can kind of have fun with your backgrounds if you want. So they've taken away
Mm.
that element of fun and choice. But it's corporate strategy, I
Mm.
suppose.
Yes.
So so,
Definitely.
so
Definitely.
the the little soldiers like me and you, we just say yes, sir, and
Yes.
get on, get on with the job, right? The image, isn't it? Again, at the end of the day, it's all
Yeah.
about. It's about. So much of everything is about presentation and image and putting out a certain idea or philosophy to people. And it was also interesting that the background that you were using had the horizon with the sun. It's an iconic symbol of it's a symbol that has been used by every religion since the beginning of time
Mm.
as a symbol of authority, power,
mm,
control, and it's very powerful. And we don't realize it, but pictures affect our mind, the way that we
mm,
think. And the first example I can think of is album covers, right? Which you can relate to book covers as well. Why do
yes.
you why do you stop and look at the book? Well, what makes you stop and look at the book is the cover, really.
Yes.
It might be the title, it might be the name of the author, but it's most probably an attractive, nice looking cover of the book makes you
Mm,
stop and look and pick it up, the book or the magazine or anything like that. And so the image is all powerful, and the sun is just another example of that, as well as and
mm,
it has a double meaning there with not with the horizon and the sun, which is common in almost all larger company logos.
mm,
Um, if you go to Google and you type in sun in company logo and you click images, you just,
mm,
you get thousands of major companies that use that because it's all powerful. And the mind, for some reason, the human mind goes, when 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 it sees that. It's not conscious; it's a subconscious thing. But it's because we're attracted. Here it is. We're attracted to the sun
mm,
because it's the sun that gives us everything.
yeah,
All life is a result of the sun. You
mm,
can argue universe, water, God, whatever. But if you're going to be a scientist about it, you really need to say that the sun is the source of all life. And when a company starts using the sun, it's like we are the source of everything, and it tunes that into the back of people's minds where people subconsciously know that and have done for generations. Anyway, that's my story. Um, yeah, it's used a lot in films as well. If you look at a lot of the
mm,
starts of films, they'll show you the horizon and the sun coming up there. So it's um, the I don't want to get into the astrology of things, but
mm,
it's 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 ironic that it's always in the
mm,
background
mm,
of what is going on. But people like those things, it's a Christian thing as well. That Jesus is the sun, right? And um, the guiding lights are the stars, right?
mm,
And the rising stars are perhaps the other
mm,
suns and leading lights and whatever. And we always get, as a society, we always get it wrong anyway. We always follow the wrong things
mm,
because we're like, oh, what's that? And we get
yeah,
we get we get distracted very easily. But well, companies, there are universities that put a lot of money into the research of symbols and logos and
mm,
patterns and how they affect things. Just and all the simple images, the simple things like arrows.
mm,
We are so trained as a culture to
mm,
follow arrows.
mm,
Yeah. If the yeah, because it's natural and go this way. You know, it's usually telling us something important. If you're on a road and you see an arrow, it's like, oh, okay, go go this way. It's the safe way to go. But it's not just on roads. There was an experiment done where if you put arrows on the pavement where people will actually follow the arrows
mm,
subconsciously without actually realizing they're following the arrows. They'll do it automatically. Yeah. If you put arrows in a shopping center pointing towards various shops, more people will visit those shops. It's crazy.
mm.
It's
But
really crazy, but it works. Again, on websites, if you have arrows pointing at a specific point or thing on a website, people will click
mm,
on that point as well. Because we're just so trained to follow the arrows. A lot of the time, it's very practical, so it makes sense. It just occurred to me right now. My little mouse on my desktop, the little symbol for the mouse is an arrow as well.
mm,
It's it really is. It really is everywhere.
mm,
Um, so um, hopefully the companies know what they're doing with all of these things. It's a question.